Welcome to Sports Digest. Today's special guest is Jerry Reinsdorf, the chairman of the Chicago Bulls and the White Sox.
We feel that there's an obligation on the part of every business in a community to put something back. We certainly take a lot out of the community. We're playing baseball in a facility that was built by the community. We feel we have to put something back. It's also good business also, because when you're known as a good citizen, people will come out to the ballpark and want to be here.
Your team has been very conscious in being in the forefront of the remembrance of the Chicago Negro League past, in particular with the Windy City Classic. Why is that important to the Sox, and why is it important to call tribute to those kind of things here at the White Sox Park?
Well, the Negro Leagues, of course, were a big part of the old Comiskey Park history. The All-Star game used to be played here, and there were fine clubs that played here. And I know as a boy, growing up, I read about all these great people, and they deserve to be honored. They were denied the privilege of playing in the major leagues, and I think there is an obligation to show respect to these people who laid the foundation for what now is an equal opportunity for people of all races.
Here recently, we've seen some decline in minority participation in terms of fans coming out to the ballpark, but I guess that's starting to change a little bit. But how has that affected your game plan? How has that affected the attendance in the major league ballparks, particularly yours at Comiskey Park?
Well, it is very distressing that we don't have more blacks coming to baseball games, because there's certainly a lot of blacks playing the game, and we want to reach all members of the community. White, black, the money that they spend to buy tickets is green, and we want everybody to come out. And if we can get more participation, it's obviously good business for us.
What do you think has been the cause of that has kept some blacks from coming out to the ballpark?
I think that the reason probably is that there has been a perception among blacks that maybe they're not welcome at the ballpark, or maybe the baseball teams don't deserve to have them spend money at the ballpark because of a belief that perhaps the industry, has not employed blacks, and we're just trying to correct that perception.
And on that note, as a major player in both the private sector and now the world of sports, where do you see the better opportunities coming from for minority advancement and certainly more participation?
Well, there's a wonderful opportunity for minorities to get into sports right now, because finally all the sports leagues have awakened to the fact that they have to hire more minorities, and that there should be a better representation of minorities among their employees. And so there are many, many jobs that that are open. I think the general community has opened its doors probably a little bit before sports did. So there's really a fine opportunity now. Now the problem, however, is that there's very little turnover at sports franchises. So it's not a matter of going out and hiring 15 or 20 people at one time, because you don't have that many jobs opening up. But all of the sports teams are now aware of the fact that they have to do a better job, and are starting to do that. Here at the White Sox, I think we have about 27% minority employees, so I think we're probably well above any industry norm. But there are many, many opportunities at a lot of clubs.
Just recently, I don't know if you're aware, the NAACP kind of raised some of those same issues with the Dallas Cowboys in terms of the front office, in terms of people that make decisions as opposed to players that participate on the field, and they felt like maybe that they were somewhat being ignored. What's your take on something like that?
Well, I can't comment specifically on the Dallas Cowboys. I am familiar with the basketball and the baseball industries, and I know that's not the attitude. Bill Bartholomew of the Atlanta Braves and I are the co-chairman of baseball's Equal Opportunity Committee, and we've been talking to all of the clubs, and we can see some very, very good progress, and we're very, very, very pleased. I can't comment about Dallas because I just don't know the situation.
Okay. And insofar as basketball is concerned, because you deal with basketball as well, what are some of the things that you might be able to take? They seem to have done a pretty good job in advancing opportunities for minorities, particularly in the coaching ranks, and now a little bit more in the general management aspect of it too.
Yeah, I think baseball has done as well as basketball overall, but it is true that in the high-profile positions, basketball has done a better job hiring minorities as general managers. But I think you're going to see that more in baseball. Bob Watson was hired by the Houston Astros as general manager this year, and as minorities work their way, up the ladder, they'll be in a position to get the higher jobs. I mean, it's very difficult to take somebody from the outside who hasn't been working in the sport and make him a general manager. But as we have more and more scouts and more people working in the front office, they will move into general managers' positions.
Is there a need for quotas? Is there a need for developing, I guess, programs that would assist that advancement?
Well, I don't believe in quotas. I think when you're working with quotas, you end up hiring people for the wrong reason. I think the important thing is to let the minority community know that they are welcome and that they should apply for the jobs. Because if minorities apply for jobs, they'll get them on the merits. And I don't think people want to be hired for jobs that they're not capable of handling. But there's no reason why minorities can't compete with whites for these jobs, and when they apply, they get the jobs.
Darling, you are all the woman that I need. Just look at you. Hair done, nails done, and your taste in clothes are impeccable. But you know what makes me happy, baby? Do you know what really makes me happy? I love it when you dance. When you dance. When you dance. For me. Dance for me. I love when you dance for me.
R&B music is under new leadership, and that leader is the Mark Williams. Listen on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Music.
We had an opportunity to sit down with one of the more popular players on the Chicago White Sox, Tim Raines, to find out the soft side of the man they call Rock. Does this team have as much talent pool? How would you compare it to the team that you played with Montreal? You mentioned some tremendous athletes on that Montreal team, but you got some excellent players here along with you, complimenting you here with the White Sox.
I really rate this team we have this year, and especially this year's ball club, better than any club I've ever played on. You know, with the likes of Robert Ventura, Frank Thomas, and Julio Franco, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, I think is the best 3, 4, and 5 tandem in all of baseball. And they're proving that this year. We've got 3 guys that have over 40 RBIs. And you know, when you can put 3 guys like that in the middle of your lineup, it's definitely going to scare a lot of pitchers. But we have some other players that really complement each other. So, you know, myself and Joey Parra, second base, got, you know, Lance Johnson in center field, and Darren Jackson has definitely been a pleasant surprise for us.
Yeah, talk a little bit about some of the new additions. We talked Jackson, Franco. How is Franco sort of giving your lineup a different look and made it tougher on pitchers to pitch around guys like Frank Thomas?
Well, Julio's definitely come in. He's a guy that's going to put the ball, put the bat on the ball. He's going to drive some runs in. He's going to hit some home runs, and he's going to bat for a high average. And when you can have a 4th-place hitter like that, you definitely can't pitch around Frank Thomas. And as you see, you know, Frank is up there in home runs, and he's up there in RBIs as well as walks, but he's given Julio Franco an opportunity to drive in a lot of runs, which he has done up to this point. The last few years, you know, we've had George Bell around, who had one great season for us, but last year we had trouble with our 4th-place hitter, and Julio has definitely been the answer for us.
Now, you had one game in particular that stands out in my mind, the game when you hit the 3 home runs and you came back. Tell me, I know you've been known for your power and had a little bit of pop in your bat, but 3 home runs in that one game, did you kind of surprise yourself on that day or what?
I I think I did. I mean, it was one of those days where the winds were blowing out the right field and got some good pitches to hit and got them up in the air and, you know, they went out of the ballpark. But, you know, I've always felt I had power to hit the ball out of the park, but definitely not. I've never been a hitter that went to the plate to try to hit the ball out of the park. And it was just one of those days where, you know, I had the swing going and got the good pitches to hit and I was driving them out of the park.
Yeah, what's one of the goofiest things that's occurred to you in all your 14 years on the field? Any embarrassing moments, anything you just sticks out in your mind in a game that you never expected to happen?
Well, it's probably been a few things, but one I remember this year, I got an error on a fly ball. It was a ball that the wind was gusting real hard. It was swirling, and guy hit a fly ball to me, and I started circling around it. And I went to put my glove up on the ball, and the wind took my glove away, and the ball almost hit me in the head. That play is one of the plays that I think one of the goofiest moments I ever been in. And you know, when you miss a ball like that, you know, you're not the only one that sees it or noticed that it was one of those plays where people got on me for it.
Switching gears a little bit, we're starting to see more recognition of the Negro Leagues, players that preceded players like yourself, or much older, more recognition coming from the major leagues. What do you think about that? What's your feeling on the people that actually paved the way for players like yourself, black players?
I tell you, I respect those guys a lot. As a matter of fact, I've met a lot of them, and you know, just to be in the same room or get the opportunity to talk to those type of guys. My father played semi-pro baseball and never really played in the Negro League, but I remember when I was just a little kid, you know, knee-high to a grasshopper, I used to watch baseball, but and at that time, black players that started playing in the major leagues, but they really didn't get the type of opportunities that we're getting right now, and thanks to those guys, we're getting a chance to play.
Does that help keep things in perspective? You said your dad played. I'm sure he passed on some lessons in your mind or things to look forward to keep you honest, keep you working, you know, striving.
Oh, definitely. I mean, my dad was the biggest influence in my career. He's actually the same type of player that I was, and I still wish right now, even, you know, looking back then, if he had an opportunity to play on a major league team, I felt he could have made it. So actually, I'm sort of living that life that maybe he didn't get an opportunity to have, and I think that what Strive gives me that extra push to continue to play.
Where did your dad play? Does he play the same position?
He played the outfield. Actually, I was a second baseman when I first started, but now that I'm an outfielder, I sort of feel that, you know, I'm sort of living his life right now. And he didn't actually tell me this, but I can actually see it when I'm around him, that I'm sort of living a life that he didn't get a chance to live.
You guys make it out to all the games, as many games as you can?
Well, he's from Florida, and he has a satellite dish, so he gets an opportunity to see all the games. So, you know, he gets to see me play a lot.
Look at me, I'm sexy and I know it. All eyes are focused on me. So please ease out the way. This ain't amateur day. Step back and watch this master's move. Now watch me dance, dance, watch me dance, dance, watch me dance, dance, watch me dance. Now watch me dance, watch me dance, dance, watch me dance, dance, watch me dance, dance, watch me dance.
In part two of our conversation with the chairman of the board of the White Sox, Jerry Reinsdorf, we asked him what the impact of Michael Jordan and Frank Thomas is as role models.
Well, Michael Jordan is unique in every way. I mean, not only is he the greatest athlete of our time, perhaps of any time, but he's somebody who was totally aware of his responsibilities, as a role model. And he's also aware of his responsibilities to give back to the community. He's been very active in creating the Michael Jordan Foundation. He's aware of the importance of the fans and of the kids. Michael never turns anybody down for an autograph. And so he is unique. It's really been an honor to have been associated with him in every way. In Frank Thomas, I see somebody who's also aware of his responsibilities. He's created the Frank Thomas Foundation, very active in the fight against leukemia. And it's very gratifying to see two great athletes like this who could just play the game, take the money, and go home, who want to give back.
For a while there were people in the press that were saying, well, we didn't hear enough from Frank, but now Frank is just on the cusp of enjoying what Michael Jordan has enjoyed so far. And maybe, I don't know if he's going to enjoy that much, but he certainly has the potential to do some great things. Triple Crown, be visible in the public. He's in the right media. He's with, an owner like yourself that is receptive to that and moving in that kind of direction.
Well, Frank really has a great opportunity to do some wonderful things because he is a great ball player. Barring injury, he's a sure Hall of Famer on the first ballot. He's going to set a lot of records, again, barring injury. But he also has the opportunity because of who he is to do an awful lot of good. And Frank and Michael have become friends over the last year or two, through Michael's involvement with the White Sox. And I think Frank has learned a lot from Michael Jordan. One of the important things is not to take yourself too seriously. Count your blessings and understand that you have to share your success with other people.
You saw some Negro League players and some black players in the major leagues. Was there anybody there that stands out in your mind that you really enjoyed as a young man?
Well, that's the easiest question you asked me, because when I was 11 years old, I had the privilege of being at Ebbets Field the first day that Jackie Robinson wore a Brooklyn Dodger uniform. And Jackie was not only my favorite Negro player, but he was my second all-time favorite player, the first being Pee Wee Reese, who was the captain of that team. And I had the privilege of seeing Jackie play baseball like nobody else has ever played the game, so he's certainly one of my all-time favorites.
The business side of baseball is just like the school of integration in the South. They have one Negro in a Southern school, and they say we're fully integrated. Hank Aaron made that kind of a statement, and obviously some of that has changed now.
Well, I think a lot of that has changed. In 1987, 2% of the employees in baseball's front offices were minorities. Today, that number, on an industry average, is up to 17%. And in the case of many teams like us, it's even higher. We're, as I said before, at 27%. So I think things have changed a great deal. At the same time, bigotry and hatred will not be eliminated in our lifetimes. And it is not just aimed at blacks. I mean, I could show you letters that I receive every week that are, basically, not basically, but violently anti-Semitic. And the fact of the matter is, if I were Italian, I'd be getting anti-Italian mail. I mean, there are a number of people in our community who are just bigots and racists. They're never going to go away. But the nice thing is that they're shrinking, and I really think that they are truly the minority today.
The Chicago sports boss sees the United Center as part of a catalyst for the redevelopment of Chicago's West Side.
Well, the United Center is going to be a magnificent building, but it's also going to achieve a great deal of social change, because the United Center not only provided many, many jobs for minorities in the construction, but also there'll be lots of jobs in the operation of the building. And it's also going to be the cornerstone for redevelopment of the West Side. We built 17 new homes, replacement homes for people who had to be moved. They ended up in much nicer homes than they came out of, and we're also financing the construction of another 75 homes. So the United Center is going to be the cornerstone of redevelopment in that area, and it's something that I think I'm going to be proud of for a long time.
It's the sexiest song on your radio. Dance for Me from the Mark Williams.
Darling, you are all the woman that I need. Just look at you. Hair done, nails done, and your taste in clothes are impeccable. But you know what makes me happy, baby? Do you know what really makes me happy? I love it when you
Smooth R&B, just for the ladies.
dance for me, for me.
Dance for Me, the smooth R&B smash from the Mark Williams on Master Sellers Music. Available for digital download on iTunes, Amazon, Google Music, CD Baby, and all streaming services.
Sports Digest has found a specialty shop in Oak Park. Not only do they serve the professionals, but they serve the fans as well. Stuart, Great Saves specializes in fan apparel. How did you get involved with that?
Well, we saw that all the pro teams have a superstar on the team, so we thought that it was excellent to have, you know, your favorite star, Michael Jordan, Ed Belfour, Chris Chelios, any of the Chicago Bears, any of Sandberg, whoever. They all like to be exactly like their pro players on the ice or on the field, and everybody wants it done. Most stores do not do this type of work. It's very specialized. So what we do is we do it exactly the way it is on the field and on the ice. We do a lot of the custom jerseys for the Blackhawks.
Talk about some of your more popular items that you have in here. When people come in to look for jerseys, which ones do they want?
They want the Frank Thomas, they want the Michael Jordans, they want the Sandbergs, they want Ed Belfour, they want Chris Chelios, they want even Rick Meyer, Rocket Ishmael. It doesn't matter. Everybody has their favorite superstar, and they want to be just like their favorite superstar. They want that jersey customized, and at Great Saves, that's what we do here, which everybody wants to be like their favorite pro.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the technical things that you do with putting the names on the jerseys and the numbers. You also do some equipment repairs. Talk about that and tell us how that came about, the relationship with the professional sports
Well, that's how it
teams.
started. Make a long story short, my partner and I, Sam, we started repairing the Blackhawks equipment and some of the Cubs and the White Sox equipment. We started in his basement with one sewing machine about 6 years ago, I would say. And we wanted to take it a step further. We took the repair and combined it with the retail. And we put it all together as the one-stop equipment shop, Great Saves. And we took that all into one thing, and now what we're doing now is we have an 800 catalog out now. We do repair, we do fan apparel, figure skate repair, hockey repair, baseball repair, as well as sell it all also.
Now, this has been a big year for Chicago sports, and obviously when fans are out at the games, they tend to want to get jerseys and items of their favorite players. And now that's obviously had to drive up your business. What are some of the most popular items, not only in baseball, but like in hockey and football as well?
Well, the big one that really went off this year is when Michael Jordan decided to play baseball. And right away, we had to find out what number is he going to wear, because we knew right away, 45. Sam says, yeah, 45. We got to put a 45 on there. Jordan. We started displaying those Michael Jordan ones, and people went nuts on them, the batting ones, and as well as his other jerseys. So we slapped together really quick a 45 in Jordan the way it is on the field, and everybody went nuts over this idea.
The burning question of why Jerry Reinsdorf gave Michael Jordan a chance to play baseball is an easy one.
Well, how could I have denied Michael that opportunity? After all that Michael has done for the city of Chicago, when he came to me and said he wanted to play baseball, how could I say no? I mean, after all, I wasn't handing him anything. All I was doing was giving him an opportunity to see how good he was. And we'll see, you know, just how it works out. But if it doesn't work out, at least he tried. And to me, it's a great thing for baseball, because here's the greatest basketball player of all time who retires at the peak of his game because his dream is to be a baseball player. I mean, that's a great thing, a great, great thing for baseball.